Tuesday, September 26, 2023. It is now past the hour of 7. So our meeting is now open. Let's stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first item on our agenda tonight is the Massachusetts Downtown Initiative, the wayfinding and branding. Pat, do you want to come up and provide us an update? I know not everyone is able to be here tonight, but a quick update on what's going on with the wayfinding.
Yep, so the plan initially was to have our consultant, Mark Favorman, come in today and provide a presentation of the process that went into it, as well as the two branding images that the steering committee finalized. Unfortunately, Mark had a medical situation today, so he wouldn't be able to join us. So we'll probably look to reschedule that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Thanks, Pat.
We look forward to seeing all of that.
John Eichmann is on, so we can put that early if you want.
So we're going to go
Yeah.
do Wall Street. Yeah. Okay. So is the Zoom connected?
He is on,
Okay.
yep.
All right. So the next item that we are going to move forward to is the Wall Street development and the street opening permit. Lou, if you'd like to come up.
Good evening, Lou Petrosi for Wall Street Development Corp. Last time we met, you had deferred to the planning board for some reason. And the planning board, the other night, voted to not approve the plan, which is quite surprising. And the reason why they didn't approve the plan was because the claim was that we didn't have access to the property being subdivided. So,
Okay.
it would be important to us to have the selectmen agree to allow a street opening permit to construct the way to allow us to have access into the property.
Okay. Jim, do you have anything to add?
Sure. So, Mr. Petrosi is correct. We actually received a decision late this afternoon from the planning board. It was voted to deny. However, after working with town council and Carl Baldoff, I have two options for you to consider at this point. One, we've drafted a motion to approve this with multiple conditions, and two, a motion to deny. I know town council Jonathan Eichmann is on there. Obviously, it's one of those, the chicken or the egg type of thing. And it's a unique situation. I haven't been involved in it since serving as a town administrator, but I think we may have a solution where it provides the town protections to ensure that the road gets completed. It allows the planning and conservation to go forward with their permitting process if Lou so decides to do so. And if you'd like, I can read the draft motion to you. You can talk about it a little bit, and Jonathan can chime in if he'd like to. So the motion that was drafted was move to approve the Wall Street Development Corp. To construct and improve Warwick Road at Wall Street at an endpoint of 9 feet plus 21.73 at its sole effort and expense upon issuance of a street opening permit by the town engineer determining the appropriate level of construction for a public town way in this location and with such conditions as the town engineer may in his discretion impose and commensurate to the work to be performed and consistent with the sections 401 and 402 of the Board of Selectmen, the Select Board's policies and procedures, provided, however, that no work shall be performed within the limits of the way until all requisite permits and approvals have been obtained for the entirety of the project, and the town engineer has verified that the work will meet the requirements of such permits and approvals, including but not limited to the planning board's requirements for subdivision approval and such requirements as the conservation may impose. As such, the authorization from private property owners may be required. Furthermore, the Select Board places the following conditions on said permit. 1, prior to any work occurring, the town engineer and town administrator will establish a performance security for the work. Once the work is completed, the town engineer will inform the board that the work is done, and the board may vote to accept the work and then release the surety. 2, plans to be submitted to the board to show a sidewalk in the cul-de-sac. The applicant will show work with the town to tie in the new sidewalk to the existing one and may make improvements necessary as determined by the town engineer to the existing sidewalks. 3, authorize the town administrator to sign a notice of intent application to the Conservation Commission once the applicant has reimbursed the town for all legal costs, issued payments for any and all fines levied against the applicant by the town for any items associated with this application, the NOI, and the planning board's consideration of subdivision approval. And finally, 4, the applicant is currently proposing work on a private property located at 7 Wall Street. The applicant will provide written approval of the owner of 7 Wall Street that demonstrates the applicant is allowed to work on the property prior to issuance of a street opening permit. John, do you have anything to add? John Eichman, Town Council.
Yes, thank you to the board. I do not. I think I worked on that motion with town administrator. I think it contains all the aspects of this that the board needs to consider at this time. The board, of course, may do more than this in attaching conditions to any approval it wishes to give, but at this point, given the information that we've assembled with the help of the Carl Baldoff, the town engineer, I think it adequately addresses what's in front of the board.
And the second motion we drafted, I forgot to mention, was move to deny the permit to Wall Street Development to construct and improve Warwick Road based upon the fact that the applicant did not obtain approval from the planning board to construct a subdivision. So ultimately, it's the select board's decision on this one. Carl and I are comfortable with whichever option you go with.
Just going to open this up to the board. Anyone have a comment or questions for Jonathan? Mark?
I don't have any questions. I'll just make a comment. I'm in favor of voting for a street opening permit for Warwick Road, so.
Glenn?
Yeah, I think I'm in favor of it too. I think the part of this that I think is the first hurdle is to do no, and this is directed, I guess, at you don't have to respond necessarily, but that you will do no work within the limits of the way until all requisite permits and approvals have been approved for the entirety of the project. So I think that I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, that we're opening the street permit, but there are limitations as to not just what you can do, but when you can do it. So that's my comment to you, Madam Chair.
I don't have any further comment. And I think it makes sense. We've beaten it up pretty good, and I appreciate town council's input on it.
Carl, do you have anything else to add?
I do not.
Okay, very good. I am in favor of moving forward on this. I think the select board, we are in the position. Thank you to Jonathan for working on this. I think all the conditions set forth, and if Carl is also comfortable with this, and obviously working closely with Carl, our town engineer, on the requirements that and conditions that have been laid out in this motion. So if there's no other questions or comments, then I'll have Ben make a motion.
I'll make a motion based upon what Jim Johnson just read into the record to permit Wall Street Development to construct and improve Warwick Road, etc., with the conditions as put forward by Jim.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have a vote 4-0-0.
Thank you.
All right, thank you,
All
Lou.
right, thanks.
And thank you, Jonathan, for joining us this evening and working on this.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Next item on the agenda is the MBTA zoning discussion.
Sure.
Do you
So
have
if
an
you don't
update on
mind, I'll
this,
give a
Jim?
quick update. So this, Patrick was before the planning board late last week on Thursday evening, discussed this matter with them. The feedback after looking over the tape and listening to the discussion was we'd like a steering committee of some sort to be formed that will kind of lead the charge on this. The planning board expressed some concern over a lot of workload, and that it would be best to delegate to some specific committee. So with that feedback, Patrick and I went ahead, did a little bit of research on what some other cities and towns have done, and drafted a charge for that committee consisting of 5 to 7 committee members, with their sole focus being on developing said bylaw, and we suggest the committee makeup be a member of the planning board, member of the select board, residents at large, the community and economic development director, Patrick, as an ex officio member. So I'll leave it up to discussion for you folks. As you know, I've said from the beginning, I don't want Patrick and I to be the ones presenting this. I think we should get some community input. I think we should have some public outreach sessions to the business owners in the areas affected, to the residents, and take their feedback in and try to incorporate as much as possible into the overlay there. So take any questions you may have.
Does anyone have any comments on this from the board?
Sure. I guess first and foremost, Patrick Duchesne is here with us, and so I just want to say thank you to Patrick for all the effort that he's put into this. We went out, we got a consultant studied it, Patrick studied it, we looked at other towns, put together, I think it was 3 options that were in the final report from the consultant. We discussed them here at least once, possibly more than that. So it was really a thorough evaluation here for what should be done with the MBTA communities, and the possible zoning changes that would be needed. Really just teed it up for the planning board or whomever. So Patrick, thank you. Really appreciate your dedication to that and teeing it up in the way that you did, because there's really not much more to be done. As Ally and Jim mentioned, it's very important, obviously, to get public input, to get residents' input, downtown businesses and the like, and we have enough time to do that. I think the second option here, or the second issue here, really is that time is of the essence. And I know Patrick has mentioned that a couple of times, but we have to have this approved and on the books by the end of 2024. And so certainly I'm in favor of this board tonight, and I look forward to hearing what other members have to say, acting on this in terms of, directing Jim and everybody to put the charge together so that we can assemble this group, because we really only have 2 town meetings between now and then with which to make these decisions. So the ability to get something on the warrant for Springtown meeting really needs to get started now. In my opinion, I think that the planning board is the policy-making body for the town when it comes to zoning, when it comes to development, when it comes to impacts to the zoning code, updates or revisions or what have you. I think that's the proper place for it. The select board is responsible for the policy for the administration of the town. The school committee is responsible for setting policy for the schools. And the planning board is responsible for planning, for setting the policy for planning in the town. If anybody's interested in why they're not undertaking that, they can feel free to watch the planning board meeting from last Thursday. They gave many different reasons, none of which I particularly understood, but be that as it may, this is where we're at, and we have to take action. As I said, we have a deadline here with the state. And so I certainly support putting the steering committee together. I think five members is probably the best. If everybody remembers, we've often talked about how hard it is to staff committees these days. People have a lot of commitments, and time is short, so I would say 5 members is probably the best. The last thing I wanted to say about this is, and I think it's interesting because, as I mentioned, it seems like the planning board is just going to abdicate all responsibility for planning in the town for the near future. We've had a lot of zoning changes come up recently to town meeting, and certainly given everything that's going on in town, development, how old our zoning code is, the lack of updates to it, it really appears that we're going to have more of these zoning changes coming. So I think it's interesting, for my fellow select board members, Patrick and Jim and everybody, that this steering committee, for lack of a better term, maybe becomes a standing steering committee, if that's an appropriate terminology, looking forward. Because if we do have other zoning code revisions and updates that need to take place, maybe this is the way we're able to accomplish that. So, as we go through, I just bring that up to say, maybe we can look at that, think of that as we go through this process. Is this something that would work? Because obviously going to the planning board hasn't worked in the past, it's not working now. And so maybe this is an interesting way to move forward. So, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Ben. Glenn, do you have anything to add?
No, Ben said it all. I think, Ben, good discussion there, and I think we could move forward with the 5-member steering committee. I think that's a good idea. I would want to focus a little bit on who those 5 people might be, and I don't necessarily want to pigeonhole ourselves into saying that it's going to be a planning board member. If they don't want to put somebody forward, I think maybe we keep it a little bit vague and say a planning board member or somebody with planning experience, just in case no planning board members are, I mean, I assume the planning board would vote on who they would want, but just in case they sort of don't do that, we should be prepared to, appoint somebody other than a planning board member. Just, we should offer it to them first, of course. Select board member, resident at large, and Pat DeShane. So yeah, those sort of members make sense. I think we should move forward relatively quickly. So.
Mark?
Yeah, I'm in favor of moving forward with a standing committee. I did go to the last two planning board meetings, and both times I suggested that this is really a planning board responsibility. They should want to drive this. And again, at last Thursday's meeting on the 21st, they did not want to be in charge of this. So I think a steering committee could work. It could become a permanent committee, has been mentioned. I think we do need a rewrite of a lot of the zoning to clean things up, and I think there'll be more things coming forward. I do appreciate all of Patrick's hard work, even if not everybody listens. We're listening, and we'd like to work with you to get this done. I do like the idea of somebody from the planning board being on. I think it's important that we keep them up to date. And hopefully they'll vote, positive action on this as we bring it forward. I also would suggest that when we publish this and look for people, I think it would be great to have a land use attorney. I think it would be great to have a developer. I'm open to others, but, as I think about this, this is, on one hand, it's an MBTA thing, but really this is a zoning thing. So I think the more help we can get on the zoning front, the better. So that would be my suggestion. But I am all in favor of moving forward with this right away and getting some people.
Are you more comfortable with 5 or 7?
I'm comfortable with 5, I'm comfortable with 7. If the right people, I assume we're going to publish this and let everybody know, and if the right people come forward, 7 is also good, as 5, but.
So you can make the call, a month from now or 4 weeks from now when we formally appoint that. So let's advertise it and see who we get.
Yeah, and again, I agree that we're on a timeline, and the sooner we can, it'd be great to see what we have for resumes in, 2 weeks from now at our next meeting, and then hopefully we'll be in a position to vote the meeting after that, so that'd be great.
Yeah, so I think all members brought up some great points. Because it is difficult to find members, right now I'm kind of thinking 5, but again, if the right people come forward, I think it's a great idea to go along with 7. I would think that planning board would have liked to take this on. They do not want to take this on. There are many zoning issues that we need to kind of look at, and Ben has a great idea that maybe this is kind of the new standard to move forward to really start to look at some of the zoning updates that are needed. So at this point, can we then advertise, or should we move forward to do?
If you would like tonight, you can set the charge. If you wanted to set it for 5 members right now, we can just throw it out there on the website to advertise for the residents at large, and then by the time we bring it back before you again, like on the October 24th, maybe, if you do have more people that are interested, you could always up the residents side of it, and on that night, like revise the number of members if you felt like you had a strong 3 or 4 people as opposed to 2.
Okay.
All right.
Great, so I will make a motion to form the MBTA zoning steering committee with the charge listed on the memo dated September 22nd, 2023, and the following makeup of 5 members, 1 planning board member, 1 select board member, 2 residents at large, and the community economic development director, ex officio member, subject to further consideration on October 24th.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have a vote, 4-0-0. All right, and again, thank you, Patrick, for all your work on this. Hopefully getting this out there and start advertising, we'll have some residents who are very much interested in working on this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Probably, get through the business.
All right. So we do have open forum tonight, but it's a bit early, so we are going to move to new business and begin the first item of discussion, which is the auction of properties at East Walpole Library and the vacant lot near the intersection of Kingberry and Plain. and possible deed restrictions.
Sure,
Jim,
so-
want to provide an update?
This is something that was approved at the previous town meeting back in the spring. I've been working with council and Treasurer Collector Lisa Sinkus on this one. Council advised, I had a feeling there should be some votes basically authorizing me. We're going to go forward with the public auction on these two properties. And council advised that the board should take certain motions to authorize me to ensure that it goes forward. I did want to place a note here. I drafted the following motion. Furthermore, the select board directs the town administrator to ensure a restriction is placed on the deeds on both properties to limit future uses of the parcels to a single-family dwelling at each unit as allowed under MGL 30B, Section 16. So basically, I wanted to limit it so no one can go in there and buy it and, put a small apartment or multifamily in there or something. So I just want to make sure the board was okay with that. Just bring it to your attention.
I'm certainly okay with that. Does anyone else have any comments for that?
No, I'm good.
So I'm looking for the board to approve the deposition by auction for the properties identified as the East Walpole Library located at 5 Walcott Ave, described in deed book number 02028, page 0393, as shown in Assessors Map 20, Lot 251, in a vacant lot located near the intersection of Kingsbury Street and Plain Street, described in a deed recorded in the Norfolk Registry of Deed in book 01891, page 0084, shown in Assessors Map 3197, as approved at the 23 Springtown meeting, and authorized the town administrator to oversee the auction and sign the deed to the property after disposition. Furthermore, authorize the town administrator to sign any applicable documents related to the sale of the properties, and further to place a deed restriction on said deeds for both parcels to limit the future uses of to a single-family dwelling unit on each.
Kind of stole my thunder, Jim.
Sorry, that's not all.
So I would make a motion as to the effect of what Jim Johnson just read into the record.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have a vote, 400. The next item on the agenda under new business is the solid waste and recycling collection. Jim has an update on this
Sure.
contract amendment.
We've reached a contract amendment on this one. This is going to lock us up to continue our relationship with Boston Carting up through June 30th, 2027. We'll get a few good years in there, and then we'll be back out to market likely. So just looking for the board to sign off on that amendment.
Typically, what is the timeline that we begin the process again?
About a year before.
A year before.
Yeah.
Does anyone from the board have anything, a question?
The
or
only
ask?
thing I would add, I know there was some talk, amongst myself and some of the department heads about changing the town bylaws, because the way it's written, it's very, you get basically 6 bags you get to put out there. It's really outdated as far as it doesn't address recycling. So when that time comes up, I would recommend taking a look at that, maybe putting a little bit of a study committee together, maybe some members of the Board of Health, Select Board, and figuring out if some amendments to that town bylaw are necessary.
I certainly would support a committee studying that and the changes, so. All right, without any other questions, Ben, do you have a,
Sure. When would that be then? If we were going to take another look at the bylaws? When? You
I'd
said
say,
2026?
yeah, spring
year
of
before?
26, summer 26 start.
Okay. I'd make a motion to approve the contract amendment and authorize the town administrator to sign.
I'll second that.
all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we have a vote, 400. Next item on the agenda is DPW Director Rick Mattson, the release of $7,380 from Maple Grove for perpetual care account. Jim, do you have an update, or Rick, do you want to come up and provide an update on this?
Good evening. Back in August, we had a tree that was severely damaged due to a severe weather event. It became a hazard tree, and as such, we had to have it removed. The tree has since been removed. All the hazards have been removed. We're just looking to reimburse the park budget that funded this removal, and just reverse it to perpetual care. It's $7,380.
Any questions for anyone? All right, Ben?
I'd make a motion to approve request of DPW Director Mattson to release $7,380 from the Maple Grove Perpetual Care account.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have
Thank
a
you.
vote, 400. Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
And the next item on the agenda for under new business is request of Conservation Commission to use $15,000 for wetlands protection filing fee, count for staff hours. Jim, do you have an update on this one?
Yeah, sure. So this is kind of a request we get every year or two. Last time we received a request was on January 26, 21. Request to expend $15,000. There was $102,000 in the account at the time. As of right now, there's about $100,000 or so. Landis and Jack Wiley are looking for $15,000. That offsets some of the salaries for Landis and the administrative assistant up in that department. I recommend favorable action, and I'll take any questions you may have.
Any questions for Jim on this?
Nope.
All right, Ben?
I'd make a motion to approve the use of $15,000 from the Wetlands Protection Filing Fee account for staff time for meetings, administration, review, enforcement, and other duties related to the administration of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and regulations to supplement the budgeted funds for conservation personnel salaries.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have a vote, 400. Okay, the next item is some stadium event parking. I think this is after the last event where an inspection was
Yes.
done and some
With
households
any
were...
luck, this should be the last lot of new ones that should be presented to you guys.
Never the last lot.
All right,
All right.
Ben, go
I'd make
for
a
it.
motion to approve the stadium event parking lot licenses at 2 Shufelt Road with 7 spaces, 6 Shufelt Road with 12 spaces, 7 Shufelt Road with 12 spaces, 35 Shufelt Road with 10 spaces, and 80 Summer Street with 7 spaces.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have a vote, 400. Next item on the agenda is Fancy That for one-day live entertainment. Assuming all the paperwork and everything is in order, is there
Yes,
anything we should know about
everything
this?
is all set. So I don't think they've had it the last couple of years with COVID, but they had it previously. It's their annual holiday open house, and they have a performance with bell ringers.
Okay, all right, Ben?
Make a motion to approve request of Fancy That for a one-day live entertainment permit at 272 Main Street on November 26, 2023, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have a vote, 400. Next item on new business is Walpole Nutrition to use Springbrook Park on Thursday for fit camp workouts, weather permitting. Have we permitted this or used this in this
So
capacity before?
every so often we have, their issue was, it was kind of a last minute thing that they were looking to do. They did approach the rec department, and unfortunately there was no recreational spaces available for them. So this is just a trial run. They're just going to do it Thursdays, weather permitting, through the end of the year. And then going forward, if it's a free event, and if it does take off, they said next year they'll look into something more official through the recreation department.
Is there lighting over there too?
She said there'll be enough for the next couple of Thursdays.
Okay, all right, very
Yeah,
good.
hell yeah. I was just noting it'll be a free 45-minute
Yes,
workout.
free workout.
Open to the community every Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. So maybe I'll go.
All right, Ben.
I'd make a motion to approve request of Walpole Nutrition to use Springbrook Park on Thursdays for the remainder of 2023 from 6 to 7 p.m. for fit camp workouts, weather permitting.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have a vote, 400. Being that we're still a little early.
Yeah, I can run through the warrant.
Yeah.
So FinCom is just about done their deliberations. They do have one more meeting right before their public hearing in October, just to discuss Articles 16 and 17. But if the board would like, I'd like to run through and get the board to go on record for the outstanding articles. So if you're okay, I'll quickly run through.
Yep.
Pull it up here. Okay, so Article 2 is the in-year budget adjustment. Multiple items are being requested here. Those include $125,000 for the reserve fund, $40,000 for the legal fund, town clerk salary line, $6,500, Walpole Public Schools, $250,000, Norfolk County Aggie School, $15,000, the Board of Health, $10,000, OPEB, that account, $50,000, and the capital stabilization, $100,000, of which the intent would be to go towards the high school next year. Finance Committee recommended.
You should read that one again,
Yeah,
Jim.
capitalization stable.
It was the money amount, yeah.
Capital stabilization, the amount of $1 million.
Thank you.
So, funding source right here is taxation, but as you all know, we received additional funding that we weren't expecting through state aid this year, through Chapter 70 and local aid. The total, just under $1.5 million. So this all totals together, $1,496,500. So, Finance Committee recommended favorable action, 813. I'll take any questions you may have.
Does anyone have any questions for Jim on these items?
Nope, sounds good.
All right, so then I think in the past we've done a motion then for each
Yeah.
article, so do we want to do that all?
So, no, you can, so I'd recommend Article 2, one at a time.
Okay.
Sure. So I would make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article 2.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have a vote, 400.
Next article up is the stabilization fund. Finance Committee voted 12-0-0, favorable action on that one. It's in the amount of $1.3 million, and let's pull that one up here. The great thing about this is it's going to get us about 10% of our operating budget, which is something we've been striving for some time, so recommend favorable action with that.
Any questions for Jim?
No, I just say, I agree with Jim. We've been working hard to build the stabilization account up to around 10%, so this is very good for the town.
An agreement to be up at 10%, that's great news.
Yeah.
So,
Making it hard for them not to raise our bond rating.
I know, that's the plan.
Yep. So I would make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article 4.
I'll second that.
all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have a vote, 400.
Article 5 here is the appropriation for capital stabilization fund. This one is funded through free cash. Recommend favorable action in the amount of $1,360,000. Finance Committee voted 12-0-0 on this.
Hold on, Jim, you said 1,360,000. I'm showing 1,350,000.
Finance Committee made a small $10,000 change at the end. It's to delete something off of capital, so it's $1,360,000.
Does anyone have any questions for Jim or comments on this?
I would make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article 5.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 We have a vote, 400.
So the last two left, FinCom voted a recommendation at town meeting. However, I would recommend at this point, since your board is sponsoring the accessory dwelling unit, you may want to get out and take a vote on this one. I think it would be a good message to send to FinCom that you're in favor of it. I know Planning Board voted 1-4-0 not to recommend on it. So that's kind of my thoughts on that one. And on Article 17, the citizens petition, which is the marijuana establishment, again, FinCom voted to recommend to town meeting. However, we had a request yesterday from the lead petitioner. He mentioned during his public hearing with the planning board, he was going to withdraw it. He followed up with an email yesterday. He can't technically withdraw it because it's already published, but he can request to refer back, and that's what I expect FinCom to likely follow through. They had some questions about it, and they briefly discussed it, so.
Okay, well, I would want to open this up to the board concerning the accessory dwelling unit. Being that we are sponsoring it, I'm comfortable moving forward. Planning board took this up, what night did they take this up?
Thursday.
Last Thursday. We worked with Patrick. I think we put in a lot of comments. We made some updates. This is now the third time that we are bringing it forward here. Does anyone have anything to add on that one?
No. Why is FinCom doing a recommendation at town meeting? Why didn't they vote on it? Because it was prior?
Because it was, so we went to the publisher last week with the
Right,
booklet.
yep,
and yeah.
yep, okay, thanks. No, I don't have any reason why we wouldn't.
All right.
So I'd make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article 16.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have a vote 400. And as far as the citizen petition, we should refer back.
I'd refer back, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to refer back to petitioner article number 17.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 We have a vote 400.
And I'd add, Ally, if I could, on Article 16, you alluded to the fact that we have talked about it multiple times. So if anybody watching has any questions about it or wants to know, why we voted so quickly 400, it's something that we have touched on a lot. So they can reach out and ask us for more information if they aren't familiar with it.
Thank you, Ben. So at this point, it is at the time of 7:40, and looking to see if anyone is here for open forum. It does not seem that this evening we have any members of the audience that are here for open forum. So at this point, we will move on to our consent agenda items.
I would make a motion to approve the consent items as listed on the September 26th agenda.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. We have a vote 400. And then we have minutes from August 15, 2023.
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes of August 15th, 2023.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have a vote 400, and town administrator's
Sure.
update.
Just a few items here. Town meeting, the warrant booklet, as I just mentioned, is out at the publisher being printed. I expect that to be out for delivery within the next 7 business days or so. We're in the middle of putting together the town meeting member packets. Those will likely be finalized by the end of the week. FinCom's set to hold their public hearing on August 12th at 7:30, so they're going to meet at 7 to go over the zoning articles and then start the public hearing half hour later. Just 2 items of note with the surplus items. We mentioned tonight about the auctioning off the properties. One other auction I want to mention is we're going to be auctioning off that 1985 Mack fire truck that the board recently declared as surplus. I'm guessing that will get a lot of interest from people around town and some fire buffs. So once that goes out, we'll let the board know, make sure it's on all our social media, the website, and hopefully we get some money and it goes to a really good home. One last item is lacrosse walls up at the LaRusso Fields. I got to tell you, lacrosse is doing a great job up there. They've raised a lot of money. The turf is supposed to be installed this week, but I'm not too optimistic with the weather the way it is, and then the fence the week afterwards. So they're plugging along. Everything's kind of weather dependent up there, but they're doing some great work. And that is it.
Can I just, FinCom public hearing, I just want to clarify, I thought you said August.
I meant October.
Yeah.
I was saying,
Okay.
Aoife,
No.
this month is flying by, so October 12th.
October 12th, okay. That's what I thought, but I just thought we should put that out there. Anyone have any comments for Jim or questions concerning?
No, I was just going to mention all 3 dates. October 12th is the FinCom public hearing at Town Hall. October 16th is fall town meeting at the high school auditorium. And October 24th is the special election
Here in this room, yes, Town Hall.
here at Town Hall.
From 12 to 8
12 to
p.m.
8.
So, all right. Thank you for your update. And at this point, I hereby declare the board will be going into, it is the board's intention to go into executive session for purpose number 3, to discuss the strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigation position of the public body, and the chair so declares. A discussion of the foregoing as open session could compromise the purpose of the executive session with the select board, not returning to open session at the conclusion of the executive session.
I'll second that.
Ben, actually, Ben,
all right.
can you make a motion towards that?
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
Nope.
I'll make a motion that the select board will enter into executive session for the purposes stated by the chair, with the board not returning to open session at the conclusion of the executive session.
I'll second that.
Okay, and due to this being executive session, we are going to make a roll call vote. Glenn?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And I am Ally, as I myself. So, thank you this evening for joining us, and we will move into executive session now.